Dio Nagad, Dakwadoa, Cara Cowan Watts. Hello, everyone. This is Cara Cowan Watts with Cherokee 411. I'm here today in an open letter video, so to speak, to our Cherokee people. I am alarmed by the politics that are being used to fundamentally shift how the care of our people is being handled in the northernmost counties. And I think what is being lost also is not just the northern parts of the Cherokee Nation, but the at-large that are close enough to drive, or even parts of Cherokee County where it's easier to drive to Claremore Indian Hospital versus Hastings, for example. So the current administration and the cabal or the group of folks that have controlled the Cherokee Nation since 2015, 2016 have spent $170 million on an outpatient clinic in Tahlequah. And they spent an additional $400 million on a separate hospital, this being what we view as the outside world probably would refer to as Hastings Hospital in Tahlequah. Then they also added the outpatient. So there's these massive empty buildings in Tahlequah that were large amounts of money, way over budget, have been spent. There was an agreement, I think, with $100 million on the outpatient clinic negotiated with the federal government. Now, I don't think any of us can pretend to know what the federal government is or isn't going to do in terms of budgets, cuts, programs, those kind of things, whether it's Doge, Trump, the big bills going through Congress and the Senate, or on the Hill, excuse me. So those things we don't know. But what we can control is what happens here in the Cherokee Nation. So this is the timeline as I have noted it or seen it. And by the way, there's an open letter we'll be publishing from former Councilman Dick Lay, who many of you know and respect as I do. And you know that we didn't always agree politically in terms of Cherokee Nation politics. But when he and I discuss these issues, I don't think I'm putting words in his mouth. Both of us like to deal with reality. It's not about politics, it's about reality and the issues. And it is fascinating. I don't know what our staff is going through right now. And even because I know that speaking out on the issue, I've already been attacked by folks that claim to be Democrats. They claim to be equal rights for women and all these people, but they just want me to sit down and shut up. Well, there is no way that Cara Cowan Watts is going to do that because these issues impact our people. So Cherokee National Holiday 2024, end of August, 1st of September, the chief announces we're taking over Claremore Indian Hospital. Well, I served 12 years with pride our community in Rogers County and sometimes Tulsa County, and 10 years of that as the chair of the Claremore Indian Hospital Tribal Advisory Board. During that time, we worked through difficult issues. We had some wins, we had losses, but we knew we were there to serve the Cherokee people and the other tribes that are impacted. We're going to create some visuals about how the Claremore Indian Hospital is funded and their patient base of the counties, the tribes that are involved, so that people kind of have a better understanding of the bigger picture here. But when it came down to it, no one had talked to, from the Cherokee Nation, no one had talked to any other tribal leaders that I know of that had vested shares in the Claremore Indian Hospital, where not just Cherokees are served. The Kituas have responded with a lawsuit. So the United Kituah Band of Cherokee Indians, who the Department of Interior's ruled has concurrent or same jurisdiction as Cherokee Nation, has sued because they do not want the Cherokee Nation to take over because they feel like their citizens will be left behind. And by the way, Indian Health Service, whether it's IHS or federally ran or tribally ran through a compact or negotiated contract, they're supposed to serve all Indian people. So that shouldn't be an issue. So the issues that have come out is they unilaterally declare that they're taking over the Claremore Indian Hospital. They don't talk to the other tribes with shares in the Claremore Indian Hospital. They don't have any respect for the other tribal leaders. in my opinion, when they do that. They don't tell the staff, they don't talk to the staff. Now, then I understand since then, they did respond with 1 or 2 town halls internally with the staff. They promised them and the other tribal leaders that called and expressed concern and tried to talk to the Cherokee Nation leadership. They were said there will be no changes in services. We're not going to leave services off. We're not going to decrease services. We're going to increase services. We're going to expand and improve the facility. There's no one's going to lose their job. And then what the federal employees understand is IPAs, which is a negotiated contract, so that the Cherokee Nation pays them as federal employees to be on site and contracted employees with us, so they don't lose their retirement and the other things that they've invested in and worked for to serve Indian country. That's the idea. Now, I will tell you, having been on tribal council, when we took over Hastings, there is no perfect process because we moved people's cheese. Now, what we were promised, and I have conflicting information whether that happened at Hastings, was that we would continue if people wanted to retain their livelihood as federal employees, that we would continue that as much as possible, wherever possible, and that people would be talked to and there'd be communication. Now, I've gotten feedback that that did or didn't happen. So we should debate that, but that'll have to be on a different thing. So that's my context going into the Cherokee Nation takeover of Claremore Indian Hospital. And I will tell you, I clearly advocated for us to take over the Claremore Indian Hospital since 2003 when I was elected. So over 22 years. There's a number of reasons why this is important and needs to be done. So my rub is how they're doing it. Not talking to the other tribal leaders with shares, not talking to the employees, and they haven't even talked to us as the patients of Claremore Indian Hospital. So here's the difference for the employees and the patients of Claremore Indian Hospital. So what's happening is they came back in response to the release we put out where we called them on their craziness on Monday. They came out on Monday, the business day after the tribal election, and said, oh, by the way, you're not going to have jobs. We're terminating all federal employees. There's going to be no IPA, no transition plan, and you will have to reapply in October for whatever jobs we have left. There's about, I think I want to say 430 employees at Claremore Indian Hospital. So September 2024, June 9th or June 10th, what would it be? It'd be June 9th, 2025 is when they finally communicate anything. There's no town halls, there's no questions. Our council people are making $10,000 per month, don't return people's phone calls. These are all critical issues and it's causing the chaos that's happening. Okay, so today, this week, they're told all of this. Their response, day 2, June 10th, yesterday, is then to come back and say, well, we're giving you a shiny new building. It'll be finished in 2027. We've already done this. We're going to spend $100 million. Well, let's go back for context. Tahlequah, big outpatient clinic, we may or may not need $170 million. They drop in Tahlequah, plus $100 million in operating cost for staff and equipment. $400 million for the Hastings Hospital. So now they've got to figure out how to staff it and fill it, and it's probably sitting there empty. Then you go, and we have Claremore, so there's at least 2 facilities in the 14 counties in northeastern Oklahoma. There's no hospital yet. I think the Creeks are working towards that with what they're doing at Council Oak. But if you want to talk about the 30-minute footprint that Governor Anna Tubby talked about, which I think is just incredible, and that's what Chief Smith and all of us, when we talk about, how close is the facility, gas, tires, the things that elders need, medical emergencies, that we would position facilities throughout the 14 counties. So now they promised us a shiny new building 2 years from now, but in the meantime, and when the new facility is delivered, our hospital becomes only an outpatient clinic with a standing emergency room. That means anyone associated with inpatient, surgical, or OB, being baby delivery, will no longer have a job, have to leave to go out of state probably at this point, given the state of the federal government, and just the reality of how we do staffing. There's only so many Indian facilities, or they have to go to Tahlequah and they still have to be offered a job. So the likelihood is we lose a significant amount of those people because they choose to leave because of the chaos that this administration's creating with how they're rolling out and their lack of communication. As patients, that means we have no facility for inpatient if another pandemic hits. And we were over, I mean, we had people everywhere. We needed those beds. So instead of preparing for the next pandemic or the next situation or the additional, now we've grown to over 450,000 tribal citizens, we're going to decrease our healthcare footprint. We're going to take away and we're going to make people drive further to have babies, to have surgeries, to have dental surgeries, our kids. We're going to make them take more time off work when people are already struggling with childcare and being able to get to work and have babies, grow families. We're just going to decrease. And it's okay. We're giving you a shiny new facility. This is unacceptable. So I hope that kind of clears up what's going on. I know that the mainstream media is glossing over this and buying into what's going on because they accept money from our casinos for paid media. And when they do that, they're jeopardizing, because what happens is our folks pick up the phone and they call them and they threaten them, or they threaten them with attorneys. We have discernment as Cherokee people. God, Creator, gave us discernment. I need you to look and dig into the issues. I need you to think for yourself. I don't care who is sitting there as chief. This decision was made in the cover of darkness. They are trying to placate us with shiny toys and trinkets. They are doing to us what we have said other people have done to us, but this time it's an internal threat. We have to stand up for our healthcare now. I need you to call your council person. I need you to call the chief's office and ask them to retract this decision before we lose the much needed hospital at Claremore. At this point, we don't even care if they move it outside of Claremore and to another community in Rogers County or northern Tulsa County or something. Although I think that would be a travesty in terms of the geographical footprint. But we need people to see through the politics and listen to our staff and the employees at Claremore Indian Hospital. They have served us with love and pride and skill. They are asking for our help, and what is happening is unacceptable. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you do your own research, and I hope you get beyond what is being covered coming out of our Cherokee Nation government and being put out into mainstream media. And here's something for our Claremore Indian Hospital employees. You are in our prayers, and we thank you for the service you have given us. And we are not going to give up, because we're going to make those phone calls and we're going to fill those email inboxes and make these people do their job for us while they're sitting in Tahlequah collecting $10,000 per month as tribal council and almost $35,000 per month plus for the chief and the deputy chief. What is happening is unacceptable, and our Cherokee people deserve more. Whatever.
Join the conversation. Discover stories and insights that matter to you. Subscribe to Cherokee 411 with Cara and stay connected with independent media, real, relevant, and unfiltered.